And it looks like everybody from our waiting room was able to get in. So I just want to thank all of our attendees for popping on today. It's Volunteer Appreciation Month, so we have some excellent volunteers joining us, and I'm excited for us to hear a little about them. And Katie Hardesty is our girl moderator. We were just talking, this is like her third or fourth time moderating, so she's a pro. So Katie, I'll go ahead and hand the mic over to you.
Okay, well, if you guys are ready to get started with our questions, our first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. Stacy, we'll start with you.
My name is Stacy Faraci, and I live in Lexington. I have a 7-year-old little girl, and I'm the troop leader of 2423. And we have 28 girls in our troop. No, 32. And we are Daisy Brownie Jr. And in real life, I run a sustainable use fashion company.
That's very interesting. It's good to hear that. Mary?
Hi, I'm Mary Stevens. I'm a longtime volunteer. My girls actually went all the way through from daisies through ambassadors and are now adult volunteers. And so I'm kind of on a second career right now. I did daycare for a very long time and retired from that. And now I get to kind of do a fun hobby career for myself, where I actually do something called cosplay. So what I do is I make costumes like the one you see behind me, and I do guest appearances at comic conventions and other events. And sometimes I will actually run their cosplay contest. Sometimes I judge their contest. So that's kind of what I'm doing now.
Well, those are both very interesting answers. The next question is, April is National Volunteer Month. Volunteers are the heart and soul of the Girl Scout organization. Please tell us a little bit about your Girl Scout journey and how long you've been volunteering with Kentucky's Wilderness Road. We'll start with you, Mary.
Okay, I didn't want to overtalk on somebody. So, okay, repeat the question now because I just lost my train of thought.
April is National Volunteer Month. Volunteers are the heart and soul of the Girl Scout organization. Please tell us a little bit about your Girl Scout journey and how long you've been volunteering with Kentucky's Wilderness Road.
Okay, that's what I thought it was, but I want to make sure I was answering it right. So you have to forgive me. I'm a little bit tired because I just got back from 2 traveling weekends back to back, and my brain isn't quite there yet. So I've been volunteering for, I think, almost 30 years now. So it's been a long time for me. I started when my girls were daisies and did a troop. I did actually 2 separate troops until they were the same age and they could merge the troop together. And then after they were done in troops, when they graduated high school, I kept on as a program volunteer. So I helped run and facilitate a lot of the programs and trainings that we had in our Erlanger area. And I've stepped back quite a bit because of the cosplay career has really kept me super busy. I did run the TLC, the Teen Leadership Council, for several years. But then I stepped back a little bit, and now what I do is I do the outdoor training in our area.
Stacy, what about you?
I'm fairly new to volunteering. I was a Girl Scout growing up in Cincinnati in Great Rivers Council, and last year, so just about, I'd say 14, 15 months ago, we formed a troop and I jumped in feet first. And because I wanted my daughter to have a troop and have the same experience as me. So we started a troop about 14 months ago, and we are currently, like I said, Daisy Brownie Jr., and she and I are also starting a second troop that will focus on kids with disabilities because she has disabilities and she wants to create opportunities for other children with disabilities. So we're embarking on that together as well.
It's very interesting to hear several different people's stories about their Girl Scout volunteer journeys. It's very interesting. Where will we find you on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m.? Stacy, we'll start with you.
It depends. During the spring and the fall, I'll probably be at Shillato Park doing Miracle League baseball with my daughter. On the weekends or in the winter on the weekends, I'm probably still in my pajamas, drinking coffee, not moving off the couch if I don't have a Girl Scout event to go to.
Those both sound quite enjoyable in my opinion. Mary, what about you?
So for me, it also depends. It depends on whether I'm traveling to a convention that weekend or not. If I am not, you'll probably find me underneath my heated blanket on my chair, hand beating something for a new costume, or in my workroom at my sewing machine, working on stuff like that. If I am traveling, usually by 10 o'clock, that's when the con floor opens and I am fully dressed and in a costume and on the con floor.
Very cool. What is your most memorable Girl Scout trip or activity? Mary, we'll start with you.
Oh, wow. Most memorable for me has to be, I have two actually. One is when I got to take my troops back to where I'm from in Michigan. And so we went up there and camped on my parents' property, and also took an entire 2 days and spent the night on Mackinac Island. So they got to stay in the Grand Hotel and dress in fancy clothes, because after 6 o'clock, it's all formal attire. And they got to eat a 7-course dinner and do all that kind of fancy stuff. And so that was really fun. They got to see where I'm from and visit the area and see what makes that part of Michigan what it is. So that one was really good. But also, I forgot to mention in my volunteer time that I was also service unit manager for a Boone service unit for 5 or 6 years. And that was my second time being the service unit manager. So we actually, as a service unit, planned a trip to Savannah. And so we did the Birthplace Bound and went to Savannah and got to visit the national headquarters, Juliet Lowe's birthplace, and all of the really, really interesting places in Savannah. Do ghost tours, do the dolphin cruises. We did almost everything you could do in 4 days on that trip. And Boone Service Unit was very, very large at the time. And so we had 2 buses, and I had 83 people on the trip that went with me and I was in charge of. So that was definitely one of the most memorable experiences that I've had.
Wow, that trip sounds like a lot of effort, but it sounds like you did a really cool job with it. That's a trip I would totally sign up to go on.
It was a lot of fun.
Stacy, what about you?
My favorite is, we had an experience at day camp last year. Like I said, I jumped headfirst into this whole leadership thing and got to be the leader of the Daisy group at, the first week of day camp last year. And I had no idea what I was doing. But the second day of camp, it decided that it was going to torrential downpour, like rain all day, complete mess. And I said, you know what, girls, if you want to go play in the rain, you go play in the rain. And they went out and they had a wonderful time. One of my girls starts digging in the mud and finds clay. And she goes, I want to make pots. And she found actual clay. And I said, let's do it. Let's do it. So we spent the entire day, just following her ideas and following where the girls took it. And all of them were muddy, and they had just such an incredible time, and they had so much confidence that grew in them because they really led something that was completely freeform and turned it into this incredible experience. So all of them are in their Potter badge, which I thought was lovely. But again, it taught me so much to give them the lead and to give them the reins and get to experience something like that. And they really taught me quite a bit. So that's probably my favorite experience within Girl Scouts so far.
Well, that sounds really fun and cool. How do you balance your career, personal life, and passions? We'll start with you, Stacy.
I don't. I just go all day, every day, constantly. Yeah, I just keep going and going and going. I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to sit still. So I bounce from one thing to the next, and go to bed and wake up and do the same thing the next day.
What about you, Mary?
Well, for me, when I was working my daycare, it was definitely difficult because I was also running two completely separate troops and at sometimes the Teen Leadership Council and doing programming. But it was something I was very passionate about. So I was lucky that my workspace that I usually make things in, my craft space in the house that I lived in at the time, was also where my daycare was. So I could work on things and then take a break and play with the kids or work on it during nap time, what I needed to do. I could kind of include them in some of it as well, depending on what I was doing. So, I did what I could with them while I was playing with them and working with them during the day. But then I spent a lot of late nights working on things. And then once I retired, my passion and my hobby and my career are now all the same. So now it's a lot easier.
That sounds very cool. How do you stay motivated on days when you just feel tired or not your best self? Mary, we'll start with you.
Well, as far as for me, because my passion and my hobby and my career are all the same, it's a little bit easier. There are days that it is hard. So what I'll start doing is I'll start researching a cosplay or a costume that I'm going to make that I really, really can't wait to do. Because usually what happens is I'm working on one and then you start to get tired of it and you're like, I just want to be done with it. And so I will start looking ahead at the ones that I want to do next, and I get excited about those. And then it gives me the motivation to finish that one so I can move forward on the next one.
Sounds like a very interesting way to keep yourself motivated. I like that. What about you, Stacy?
I'm a list maker. I am very type A, and I can get very overwhelmed and discouraged when things get muddled or messy. So to keep my focus and to keep things going, I tend to sit down with my planner and, just really make my lists about things I need to do, look at my dates, and just get things in order. And that typically is enough of a motivation for me to start the next project that I need to do.
Very interesting. Volunteering is best known as an act done for the benefit of others, but that's not to say that you can't take a lesson or two away along the way. What has volunteering with Kentucky's Wilderness Route taught you? Stacy, we'll start with you.
I would say it's taught me, it's taught me a lot. And I've been really grateful for all of the friendships I've formed in this short time. But I think more than anything, it's taught me to step back from myself and to see things through others' eyes, because there is so much I can learn from other people. And I'm just a work in progress. And everything that you encounter as a volunteer forces you to put others before yourself, which can put you in a really humble place of learning. And I really am grateful for that place of learning.
What about you, Mary?
I agree as well. It definitely helps you learn how to work with other personalities as well. It was definitely a growing experience as much for me as it was for my girls. I was very much an introvert. I didn't have conversations with people very well. I didn't really put myself out there to try new things. I liked my little comfort safety bubble really well. And in my volunteering, I kind of got thrown into, oh, now you have to be the person that leads this conversation. You have to be the person that plans this. Nobody else is doing it for you. And it forced me to do those things. And so I got to learn those skills. And all along my whole journey, depending on where I was and what I was doing as a volunteer, I learned new skills and I got better at what I did. And I'm a completely comfortable person talking in front of an entire crowd of people. I wear costumes in front of thousands of people now. So it's definitely been a really, really good growing experience for me as an adult that I did not expect. So happy for that.
Yeah, I've picked up that Girl Scout is beneficial in a lot of ways. I know volunteers that I've met through my Girl Scout journey, also enjoy getting to learn new things. And when I'm an adult volunteer, I look forward to getting to learn new things as an adult too. Whether you're the type of person who craves a lot of social interaction or whether you prefer as little as possible, volunteering has social, career, and personal benefits. Do you have any tips for those who might be interested in volunteering within their community but just don't know how to get started? Mary, we'll start with you.
Don't be afraid to ask around and see who might know the answers for you, because that's my biggest advice is don't be afraid to look for it. Don't be afraid to sign up for something. You can look around in your community Facebook pages to look for opportunities, talk to people that are already involved and see what you can get your feet wet, doing. Start out small if you need to. If you're somebody who just is all gung-ho and wants to just jump in, you can do that too. But networking is probably the easiest way, looking for those people that are already connected and contacting them.
Stacy, what do you think?
I think the easiest and best way to do it is to just go in and take every single opportunity you can find. Never say no to something unless it's, a terrible situation, but take every chance that feels good to you. Give it a try. It might not fit, but you learn something, you meet people. Again, like Mary says, networking is so important. Talk, because you will encounter so many incredible opportunities if you are just willing to give your time and effort to worthy causes and to conversation.
What tricks have you discovered to keep you focused and productive in your day-to-day busy schedule? Stacy, why don't you start with this one?
So that's hard because I'm diagnosed ADHD. So this is something that I struggle with quite a bit. Again, lists really help me. Keeping things short and sweet really help me. Reminders everywhere. And just visual, knowing, I guess the way to think about it is learn what works best for you and just do it without, embarrassment, without apprehension. Just do what works for you and use every opportunity you can to succeed.
What tricks have you learned, Mary?
Like Stacy, lists. I write a list. I'm pretty good at keeping track of what I need to do in a good timeline in my head. But the closer I get to a convention, especially if I'm entering a really, really important competition with my costume, I will write lists because there's so much that needs to be done and it feels good and it helps motivate you to cross things off of your list. So I will write out everything that needs to be done for an entire costume and then cross it off as I go. And that helps me not to forget what I need to do, motivates me to keep going. And then I have that self-assurance that I'm not going to forget something. So I depend on lists a lot when I'm getting ready for that stuff. But I also have learned, especially in what I'm doing now, to, not be afraid to say it's too much. I'm not going to finish this right now. Take care of yourself mentally and save it for another convention if I need to, and do something simple and easy.
Well, I liked both of those answers. So this is our last question. What do you believe will be the biggest challenge for the next generation of female leaders behind you, and what advice would you give them? Mary?
Oh, wow. I have to start on this one, huh? I feel like there's been a lot of challenges with time lately. Everybody's involved in a great many more things than they used to be. When I was a child growing up, we were involved in one thing at a time. And then that season was done, and then you'd be in the next season, you'd be in one thing. And now I feel like you're involved, the kids are involved in multiple things all at the same time. And the parents might be involved in multiple things at the same time. There's a lot more both of parents working nowadays than there was when I was a child. And so I think having the time to volunteer and having the time to do these things is a big challenge. and balancing that, I think is going to be a challenge. I hope that they find a way to do that, because I do still feel that the Girl Scout program is probably one of the most important things and learning lessons that my girls ever went through. And I know that it benefited them in ways that they don't even know yet.
Stacy?
I mean, I think there are a lot of things, but to, build off of that, I think that mental health, anxiety, et cetera, that this younger generation is feeling, is probably the biggest hurdle, because yeah, time is very short. Everyone's overscheduled. Parents are working late hours, weekends, etc. And, we just have so much more that our lives need. And mental health is something that does seem like it gets put on by the wayside, but also that I think my generation and the ones, underneath that, the newer generations are becoming aware of it. So going forward, I hope that, your generation, my daughter's generation, really focuses on mental health and understands that it is a very valuable thing that needs attention, and that we look at the way that we are spending our time and allocating, appropriate time to just be a kid, be an adult, drink coffee, watch your Netflix, because those are really important things. And I also hope that the younger generations feel the confidence to share their feelings with one another and understand that we all have these very shared experiences that maybe older generations were hesitant to share because of stigma. And, it's not like that anymore, I would hope. And we can all build a better world, just through the connection of sharing with one another.
Well, we had some very good answers for those questions today.
Thank you all so much. We actually had one question come in the chat. If you all wouldn't mind sharing how long you've been volunteering with Girl Scouts.
Right,
So
I'll
I've,
go ahead.
okay, go.
Okay, sorry. I've been volunteering, I think it's close to 30 years. I kind of lose count every now and again. But yeah, it's been a while.
And I am brand spanking new, just about, well, I guess it's been 17, 18 months now.
Awesome. So it's great to hear from a veteran and a new volunteer, and you both are making such a big difference within our council. So we really, really appreciate you all so much. Thank you for sharing your career experiences, a volunteer experience with us. You guys are great role models for everybody. And Katie, thank you once again for doing a fabulous job moderating. So round of applause for all of you guys. And thank you to all of our attendees today for joining in and submitting some questions. We really appreciate it. And I know a lot of people are on spring break, so I hope you can get outside and enjoy the weather and enjoy this week of relaxation. So thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.